Good evening, everybody. Today is Monday, October 5th, 2015. It's 6:30 p.m. Time for the Selectmen's meeting. First order of business is the Pledge of Allegiance. Please stand.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Chairman Sullivan and Selectman Joseph are excused this evening. Second item on the agenda is acceptance of minutes. The Board of Selectmen minutes of September 28, 2015. Mr. Ruda.
Make a motion to accept the Board of Selectmen minutes of September 28, 2015.
Second.
Motion by Jonathan, seconded by Peter. Any discussion? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Unanimous. Thank you. Okay, item 3, under appointments and resignations, we have SCM Elder Bus, Inc. As the Dudley representative on the Board of Directors, Walter Spivakowski. Do I see Walter here? Walter is not, he's not here. Let me see here. So we have a letter in our packet from SCM Elder Bus. Mr. Valiakonis, anything you can provide here?
It just indicates that they would like to indicate that there's membership that's available on their board. The board meets 4 times a year, February, May, August, and November, and the meeting takes place in Charlton, Mass., approximately 90 minutes.
And Walter would like to be the representative?
Yes.
Okay. What's the board's pleasure?
I'll make a motion to appoint Walter Spivakowski. Is there a term associated with that, Mr. Chairman?
No, annual.
Annual. I'll make a motion to appoint Walter Spivakowski as the Dudley representative on the Board of Directors for the SCM Elder Bus.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Ruda, seconded by Mr. Fox. Discussion? Peter?
There's no financial commitment to this, is there?
No.
Okay, I'm fine.
Discussion. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Unanimous. Thank you, Walter. Item 4 on the agenda is public comments. Is anybody in the audience who would like to speak on anything not currently on tonight's agenda? No? Okay. We have no public hearings. Under item 6, we have under licensing and permits, we have a 1-day all alcohol liquor license for St. Andrew Bobola. David Bogowski is here. It's for Saturday, October 24th, 2015, from 6 p.m. to 1 a.m. for the Harvest Dance. Hi, David.
Good evening.
How are you?
So yes, David Bogowski. I'm here on behalf of St. Andrew Bobola Church, 54 West Main Street, and I've submitted an application for a 1-day license to serve alcohol. We're planning a fall harvest dance, which is scheduled for Saturday, October 24th, between the hours of 6 p.m. and 1 a.m., and we're looking for that 1-day permit.
Okay.
I brought with me payment for the fee, $50. With my application, I submitted certification of a alcohol server training program for our server, who will be me.
Mr. Chairman?
Mr. Ruda.
2 things. The police chief, you all set with this application? It's running till 1 a.m., so everybody's up to date on the time to stop serving and everything?
Yeah, I'd have to speak to one. I haven't spoken to anybody on this yet, so I'd have to speak to somebody.
Okay, so if you would, I'd be happy to move to approve the permit if you would speak to the police chief before the event.
Of course.
Okay, great. So I'll move to approve the 1-day liquor permit on October 24th, 2015, from 6 p.m. to 1 a.m. For St. Andrew Bobola Church.
Motion by Mr. Ruda. Is there a second?
Of course. Okay.
Second.
I'll second.
Okay, second. Peter. Go ahead, Peter.
Would that be October 24th and 25th because it goes into 1 a.m. in the morning?
I would assume that it would expire. How do we normally do that? October 24th or the 25th? Is that how we word that?
Yeah, it's uncommon we have that.
Okay, so I'll amend my motion to include October 25th to end at 1 a.m. for 1 hour on October 25th.
Okay, second the amendment.
Okay, you like that? Okay.
Yep.
Good. Any other discussion?
Okay, Chief?
Chief?
Yeah,
Okay, you guys are gonna connect?
if there's an issue, I'll let the board know.
Okay, all right. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Unanimous. Thank you, David, for coming. We'll get you
Can I
that.
give
Yeah,
this to you?
give that to Michelle here. We'll have this all signed and ready to go and just have a conversation with the chief. Great.
Thank you.
Thank you. Oh. Well, that's old. That's an old one. That's old. Fancy. All right. Item 7 on the agenda is public business. And we have one item tonight. It is the fall town warrant. This is a draft. We have a lot of the department heads here. What we'd like to do by the end of tonight is to walk through the warrant, put holds on anything, either decide whether we're going to keep this on the warrant or take it off, and just have a discussion based on needs, based on the article from whatever department it came from. So let's start with Greg, just to sort of kick this off.
Okay, so the first 2 articles are routine. They're to hear committee reports and recommendations from the Board of Selectmen and FAA committee, so there's no action of the board that's required. Article 3 pertains to the 2016 budget. This is our budget supplement, and it provides additional funding for the departments and expenses that are shown in Appendix A, and I will read what those are. And I know that there are a bunch of departments that are here this evening. I also made a mistake that I realized that the library had requested additional funding, and that is shown under, let's see, Article 15. So Article 15 will be deleted, and the amount will be included within this article. And if you note, Appendix A does show that amount that's here. So the amounts are as follows. Municipal Buildings Energy, $50,000. Treasurer Collector Assistant Salary, and this is for the full-time professional assistant, not Mr. Camagnani, $19,840. Bay Path Regional Assessment, $18,064. Town Group Insurance, which is health insurance, $16,000. Town Clerk Assistant Salary, $6,147. Tree Warden Expenses, $5,000. Town Administrator Expenses, $3,435. And since I have the microphone, that's for me to become a member of the International City Management Association and participate in their professional development programs. Fire Chief Salary, Board of Selectmen Administrative Assistant Salary, and Town Accountant Salary are all as a result of the pay study that I had done previously for these positions and presented to the Board of Selectmen. The amounts are $2,241, $2,129, and $1,341. Board of Selectmen floater, $1,000. Building Department Administrative Assistant, $972. Building Department expenses, $500. And then library expenses, $17,792 for a grand total of $144,461.
Greg, quick question. The floater, can you explain that?
So this is the person who provides services to the Personnel Board on a regular basis, and we did not provide adequate funding in the department, even cover for her salary with the floater. She is also going to be providing services to the Planning Board on an interim basis, but those services will be paid for through the Planning Board and not through this budget.
Got it. Thanks.
So, Mr. Chairman, if
Mr. Ruda?
we'll, of course, have another opportunity to determine what the Board of Selectmen are going to vote to support at town meeting, I would imagine, right?
Yeah.
This is just to
Yes, and they're
the
also,
warrant.
the FAA is meeting tomorrow night, and I'm sure what will come from that meeting is they'll set a date for their public hearing, where they'll put together their recommendations, and that'll be posted as they in a joint meeting.
Sounds good.
Article number 4 is pertaining to the operation of the town beach, and it requests $643.78 for this year, and that's to fund the deficit for that the beach ran over the past season. And then it also provides $8,170 for full operation of the town beach, including salaries and expenses in the next season. And the money will go to the beach gift account, which allows us to bridge the 2 fiscal years. So the beach would be, I reported to the board at the last meeting, the beach would be run through tax dollars and not necessarily through donations. And that's the intent of this article. Article 5 is unpaid bills of a prior year, and the amount is $2,739.33, and that number is a moving target. So by that, there are bills that the accountant sends out on a daily basis to update this figure. However, what we will do is we will look to fund this at town meeting. As you know, bills of unpaid bills of a prior year require, I think, a 4/5 vote of town meeting. And we'll enumerate a full listing of them for Article number 5.
Okay.
Article 6 is for the town's participation in the Central Massachusetts Stormwater Coalition. The amount that's requested is $4,000, and that is for fiscal year 2016, and I previously reported on this to the Board of Selectmen at its last meeting. Article 7 was an item that was deferred from the Springtown meeting back in May. It's triennial certification of real estate and property, and it's submitted by the Board of Assessors, and the amount that's requested is $23,000 for recertification of the town's real estate and personal property values required by the Department of Revenue. Article 8 is dam inspections. The town owns a number of dams throughout the community, and those dams are classified by the Office of Dam Safety, which is a state agency, on a scale of 1 to 3. There are some dams that are considered to be Category 1, and we need to do reports every 2 years on those dams. So this seeks $8,300 to hire an engineer to do an inspection and a report on the 2 dams at Merino Pond and a pond by the name of Wallace Pond. And so this is required. I really don't have a choice on this one. Article 9 seeks $4,995 for installation and purchase and installation of a generator at the fire station. Does not work. So we need to get that facility up and running. Article 10. Article 10 is a borrowing, and it is for the remount of ambulance number 2, and it's also to construct improvements to the vehicle exhaust system at the station. The total amount is $159,300. I made a mistake, so if you look at it, the first is the sum of $155,300 to remount the ambulance number 2, and then $4,000 for the improvements to the vehicle exhaust system, for a total of $159,300. The intent is to borrow the money. So what we'll do is we'll borrow the money, and then we'll come back in the spring and we'll seek an appropriation for the first year's debt service payment. Article 11 is for improvements to the police station. It seeks the amount of $20,000, and it's to cover the cost of furniture and various upgrades to the police station in the area that was formerly known as the dispatch center. I took the word dispatch center out because I felt it might be confusing. People might say, well, wait a second, the dispatch center is over in Webster, but you get a general idea what the location is. Article 12. Article 12 is to fund our capital improvement obligations that are due for this year. There were 2 capital improvements that were voted at Springtown meeting. They total $99,500. So that would be paying down the principal and the short-term borrowing costs for a new dump truck and plow voted under Article 17 of the Springtown meeting, and then an amount of money necessary under Article 17 of the Springtown meeting for a police cruiser. To make a quick description, we will pay these off in their entirety. So we're not going to drag these on and extend these payouts over a period of years. We have the money on hand, they'll pay these things off and do it in one time, and that's what the intent of this article would be. Because we all know that there are additional capital items that are coming up, and it's really hard to replace things like vehicles if you do a 3-year payment or a 3-year term on it. Article 13 establishes a recreation commission. This was a proposal that you had received from some residents. It provides for a 7-member committee and provides for a transfer of funds in the amount of $1,000 from a budget that used to be under what was called the Youth Commission. And there are a lot of citizens that are obviously interested in this article. Article 14, funding the snow and ice deficit. The amount that you see represents the total deficit. It's $83,466.12. We anticipate that a portion of this will be offset by the reimbursement through the Federal Emergency Management Agency, or FEMA, and then what we will be required to do is only address the remaining amount. The amount is a little bit in flux. I keep hearing different information, so what I did was I put in the highest amount. You can always go to town meeting and reduce this amount, but that's the maximum amount of our snow deficit for fiscal year 2015. Library trustees, we talked about Article 15 being included under the budget transfers. Article 16 seeks $100,000 to be added to the town's stabilization fund. Stabilization fund balance as of today is $291,381. I'd like to see it get up to in the range of $500,000, and my plan would be to fund $100,000 this year and $100,000 next year. That will get us to the very close to the $500,000 figure. The reason why I picked that number out was if you look back at Dudley's history, back in 2003 and 2004, that was the amount of money that we had in the stabilization fund. And I think it's wise to be able to budget and put money aside for our savings. Helps the town's bond premium.
Definitely.
Article 17, fund the employee merit pool. As you know, we did this last year. It worked out very well. We had a subcommittee that consisted of a member of the Board of Selectmen, Mr. Fox, a member of the Personnel Board, and myself. We went through all of the departmental reviews and decided if merit increases were warranted. I think it's a good step in the right direction, and this would provide us the ability to be able to do that again. And the number is based upon the number that we had a year ago. So I'm hoping that that will gain support going into town meeting. Article 18, submitted by the Highway Department. It's for Highway Department equipment purchase, seeking $30,000 to be transferred from the Highway Department Road Machinery Fund, and it's for the purchase of a new 1-ton pickup truck and plow. Article 19 looks also submitted by the Highway Department, which was highway road improvement funding. The highway superintendent had used the pothole money. The state Governor Baker granted the town some money as a result of the bad winter that we had, and as part of that allocation, those monies were used for Oxford Avenue repaving. We have since been reimbursed by the town of Oxford to the tune of $33,000, and this seeks those monies be available. It would have to be transferred in the form of free cash, so we just can't take that reimbursement check and transfer it over to the Highway Department. Article 20 is highway expenses. It provides for the sum of $10,000 to purchase equipment and truck loader tires. Article 21 is authorization to enter into a payment in lieu of tax agreement for a solar facility to be located on Center Road and Farley Road, 1.3 megawatts. The land is zoned industrial, and under the statute and under the law, town meeting needs to authorize the town to enter into that agreement. Article 22 is repeal of the town's sex offender residency. This was recommended by town council, and this was a bylaw that was adopted back in 2008, as I understand. However, it was held to be unconstitutional, not Dudley, but there was a case involving the city of Lynn. And as a result of that court ruling, all of these bylaws have been ruled unconstitutional and must be repealed. And we're doing this at the advice of legal counsel. Article 23 is an article submitted by the town clerk. It provides for an increase in the fines for persons who fail to properly license their dogs. Article 24, noise bylaw. The board at its last meeting had asked me to draft a minimalist version of the noise bylaw. I know you haven't talked about it and discussed it. This is a minimalist version of the bylaw, which we put in here. So we have this version, and we have the other version that you looked at your last meeting. Would ask you to decide which of those two you prefer. Article 25 is recommending special legislation for the purposes of creating a Department of Public Works in the town of Dudley. A copy of that verbiage is attached as Appendix B, and that's the same as had been previously presented to the Board of Selectmen. Article 26 is a request submitted by the Planning Board. I included an editorial note that will be deleted on the version that goes out and gets signed by the board. But the purpose of this bylaw would be to limit commercial solar facilities to to certain districts in town, and providing that they would be allowed in the industrial district, I-43, and I-130, as well as the town's refuse disposal district. So it would limit the location of those facilities. You can see the zones where it would be excluded in. Article 27 is authorization of a power purchase agreement. So one of the things that the town does is we buy power at a discounted rate for municipal facilities. And to do so, we need authorization of town meeting to be able to do that. And Article 27 gives us the permission to put that together. Article 28 are two items that the board had mentioned, but we've yet to put language before you. Article 28 is making the board's policy on yard sales a bylaw. And the primary reason for doing that would be to address enforcement issues. Right now, the policy cannot be enforced. And then Article 29, there was a note about moratorium on Class 2 automobile licenses. Class 2 licenses are for used or second-hand motor vehicles. Article 30. Article 30 is a petition article, is identical to a request that was submitted through the Historical Commission. It seeks $11,447 for preservation of town's records, including scanning and other costs incidental that are laid out in front of you here. So those are all of the articles, and I'm sure you have many questions.
Thank you, Greg. Appreciate that. Appreciate the succinct summaries of those. So what I'd like to do now is just kind of read through when the selectmen usually do this. We go through and read the article name, and ask if anybody up here has a hold. Then we'll hold and go back and talk about it. Okay? All right, so Article 1, Article 2, Article 3, which is the supplemental budget, Article 4, Article 5.
Question on 5.
Hold, okay. So hold. Okay, Article 6, Article 7, Article 8, Article 9, Article 10,
Question 11. And 11.
10 and 11, Debbie?
No, 11.
Huh?
Just 11.
Just 11? Okay,
11?
sorry. Okay, Article 12, Article 13, Article 14. We're skipping over 15.
15's out.
Okay, it's out. Article 16. Article 17. Article 18.
Any question on 18?
Okay, Article 19. Article 20. Article 21. Article 22. Article 23. Article 24.
Hold,
Hold, Jonathan.
and hold on 25 as well, please.
Hold on, 25, hold. Okay, 20, Article 26. Solar. Article 27. Article 28.
Hold.
Article 29. And Article 30. Okay. So let's start from the beginning. Debbie, why don't you come up? You had a whole bunch of questions, please. Right, so Debbie, so Article 5, you put a hold on unpaid bills of a prior year.
That actually was increased, now it's $3,355.68. I sent an email, but.
335568. Yeah, Greg said that was in flux.
Three,
so-
Yeah.
one more time, Debbie?
$3,355.68. Got another one today.
Okay. What kind, just for ha-has, what kind of bills are these? These just,
Well, there's a few for water and sewer, and I think it was because of the transition between the two administrative assistants. You know, some of the bills got lost.
oh,
And, you know, for a pump, there was a lot from Webco, the chemicals. It was
Oh.
like 5 or 6 from Webco. So,
okay.
they're small altogether, but
Yeah, they add up.
altogether they are.
Sure.
I would just point out that the ones that are from, relate to the sewer department will be, the source of funds will be the sewer department retained earnings. If there were water department, it would be the same thing, water department retained earnings.
Yep.
The other items would be funded through free cash.
Got it. We'll have all that listed out when we
We'll
get to
actually list them out in the warrant.
it. And then the FAA will go through them, where the source of cash, the source of funding will be from. Okay, so Debbie, Article 11, you had a hold? Lisa?
Article 11 and Article 18, I'm just curious if those should be capital improvement projects rather than just looking for the money at town meeting. Because normally a capital item is $15,000 or more, and one of those is 20 and one's so I'm
I mean, I
asking
can
the question.
throw in, because usually the capital improvement committee provides its recommendations for the Springtown meeting.
Right.
And then we take a little bit of a break to gather up to be able to present it again for the fall.
And 18 was how much? 30? Yeah. Okay, go ahead, Peter.
Greg, does the capital improvement have to be a minimum of 25, anything over 25,000?
No, Debbie, what was the amount?
the auditor recommends 15,000,
I thought it was
and that's what we've always done.
Yeah,
Nothing over
20.
15,000
Okay.
is capital. And any demolition to a building, we have to get 3 bids anyway. So
But I think
we have to
your
get
question to your response to your question, I think the bylaw says 20,000.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure the bylaw says 20,000.
So, Chief, go ahead.
Yeah, a couple things is, I put this figure on there because I'm just taking an estimate as far as what things would cost. What I'm trying to do is remodel the dispatch center downstairs to make it more customer-friendly and more usable. Most of the equipment that was in there was built to house our 911 equipment and everything else of that nature. And so things are, it's a real mess down there now as far as with all the equipment that's come out of there and everything moving through. So I'm trying to streamline it a little bit, put in some new desks and everything like that. We're not really doing any major renovations to the building. I think I'm taking out a half a wall, I think is one part of the structure that was there that's going to come out. Other than that, the physical structure is staying the same. It's more or less just furniture items. If you want to lower this down to 15, I could do that. If you want to make this up to 20,000, I could do that as well, because I'm just looking at a ballpark figure. I'd hopefully like to get some information from WB Mason and a few other places right now. But I'm just going off of bids that I'm receiving from people as far as estimates that go for desks and furnishings and that type of stuff.
Peter.
Yeah, but that 20,000 figure could be up to 20,000.
Correct. I'd hope to keep it lower. That would be the biggest thing. But I'm just trying to keep it in a figure that can be manageable. something I can do. And I know it's something that's outside of my normal budget. It's not going to spend $1,000 on a couple chairs or a desk or something else like that. It's a little more extensive, and trying to make it a more functional space now for the business we're doing down there.
Since we don't have the dispatch there anymore, right?
Yeah, it's more of an office. It's more of an office setting now than than it was at the dispatch center with the 911 system. So it's trying to make it more functional space. And hopefully, I'd like to have an administrative assistant down there or something to kind of run some things during the day. So it doesn't quite work the way it's set up now.
Okay.
Just, I was wondering if you would think you would have a figure by the town meeting?
Oh yeah, I'd have
So we
something
could
by
amend it on
November.
the
Yeah.
floor if necessary?
Yeah, I would have something by then.
Would you be opposed to putting up to in there?
I'm fine with that.
I just am,
Oh, I'm sorry, Gary.
I just would want to stay away from the amount 20,000, because as the accountant pointed out, it triggers the need for capital improvement, and I think the bylaw, I think there's something that says nothing can be presented unless it's first presented to the Capital Improvement Planning Committee, so that could present some problems.
Yeah. I'm all for lowering that if you want to lower it to a figure that's, if you wanted to say 15, 16, 17, we could do something like
Whatever
that. It
doesn't
trigger the
other
amount.
stuff.
Sure.
I'm
And
fine
you
with
could
that.
break it down by what it is.
Yes.
Yes,
She
we'll
has
do it.
$500, doesn't it?
Yep.
Then that would be
Oh,
easy.
we'll have everything, Deb. Don't you worry. I know you're watching that shop.
Right.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's it.
Thank you,
Thanks.
Chief. So that's Article 11. So Deb, Article
Yep.
18,
Oh,
Highway Department.
I'm sorry, Mr. Chairman, before we get,
Mr. Ritter?
so if we're going to change wording, and we're going to approve this warrant tonight,
What we
we're
can.
going to close it tonight?
Yes, because the warrant articles were due Friday at 1 o'clock. So we put this together as a result of what had been submitted as of Friday at 1 p.m. Any further articles can only be accepted by a vote by this board.
So if we amend, if I made a motion to amend Article 5 to read, I'm sorry, which
Article 11.
Article 11, to read, to determine the sums of money up to 16,000.
Okay.
I'll make that motion.
That would work.
15.
What, up to 15, okay.
Just 'cause
I'll make a
it's-
motion to amend Article 11. 20 was the trigger, wasn't it? Wasn't 20 the trigger?
Debbie said 15 was a trigger.
15 was what the auditor
Okay.
recommends.
Oh, but 20 is
I
the
think your
bylaw, I'm
says
sorry.
20,
Okay, so, go
All
ahead.
right. Okay, so I'll make a motion to amend Article 11 to read as follows: police station improvements, to see if the town will vote to determine the sums of money up to $16,000. The town will raise an appropriate borrowed transfer from available funds to cover costs associated with furniture and upgrades to the police station, or take any other action relative thereto.
Motion by Mr. Ritter, second by Mr. Fox. Discussion. Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, unanimous. Okay. Worded that one. Okay, Debbie, jump over to 18. The Highway Department equipment purchase. This was for the $30,000. Is this the same issue? Danny, good.
This article, it's not any taxpayer dollars. This is strictly Chapter 90 funds that are paid out to the vehicles when they're on road construction work. And if the state sets the rate, dump truck is like $7.50 an hour. It's very minimal. It took us 2.5 years to put this money aside. I did talk to the Capital Improvement Committee chairman a while back, and he said he was only interested if it's taxpayer money. I don't know if that's still
So you've been
true.
basically putting money into a kitty to pay for
Yeah,
this?
right, strictly from Chapter
From
90
paybacks.
funds. This is at no cost to the
Okay.
taxpayers.
Deb?
And it would come from the state bid list?
Yes, yep.
This does not have to go to the Capital Improvement Committee.
Not as far as I know, nope, it's not town tax dollars.
The only question that I would have is that we can only vote what's in the account.
There's a little more than 30,000.
There is.
There is? Yeah, I looked today, there was 23.
Well, the treasurer didn't,
Maybe that's
he didn't
the
catch up with you yet, but
Okay.
my account is, there's like 32 or 33.
So we got enough to cover there.
I'm not gonna, I don't wanna make a mistake like that.
No.
It's
And
in
do you
there.
already have one identified and,
After state bid list, it'll be, it was a Ford F-350.
oh, so
And
it's,
that truck is gonna, just for a little bit of history, is gonna replace 2 trucks that we had to take off the road over the last couple of years. One of them's a 94 truck that we bought used because the hand-me-down truck we got from the water department burned to the ground during a snowstorm. The other truck that we took off the road was the 1994 ambulance cabin chassis that we took in and made a dump truck out of and used that for 4 years. So we're in desperate need of another
Looking for
pickup truck.
real equipment now?
And if, that'll leave one pickup truck for us, which is a 1987 Dodge, so.
Okay. All right, sounds like we need that. And Debbie, that was it for
That
you?
was it.
Okay, thank you for that. All right, let's jump to Article 24, was a noise bylaw. Jonathan, you had a hold?
Mr. Chairman, first I'll make a motion that we remove Article 24 for consideration on the 2015 Fall Town warrant. We've had a public hearing on it. I'm sorry, I'll wait for a second.
Second.
We've had a hearing on it. We've had no significant public interest in it. I don't think we've come to any consensus on the wording and which way we want to go with it, so there's no sense in hoisting it upon the town meeting to try to make a decision if we haven't.
Okay, discussion, Peter?
Second that motion.
Yeah, I agree. It's one of those, not a lot of time. There's still a lot of things. I think Mr. Mayotte came in front of us at the Black Tavern last week and said some of the other towns had like 20-page bylaws, and we have 2, and it's a little scary to me. So, okay, so let's vote on that. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Unanimous. So Greg, Article 24 is gone.
Out.
Okay, next is Jonathan, Article 25, DPW.
Mr. Chairman, I'll also make a motion that we remove from consideration for the 2015 Fall Town warrant Article 25, which is the creation of a DPW for Dudley. I think the work is incomplete from the committee. We haven't had any sort of input from the town administrator. He's out straight and hasn't had a chance to put his facts together. We haven't heard any input from the con side of it. And we haven't had a public hearing. And a bylaw change, absolutely, it would be unconscionable for us to move forward on this without a hearing on a bylaw change.
Okay, motion by Jonathan, second.
Second.
Second by Mr. Fox.
I support Jonathan's comments that we are certainly not prepared. There's a lot more follow-through that has to be done to even consider this.
Yep.
So I support that recommendation.
As do I. So let's vote on that. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous? Greg, 25 is gone.
Gone.
Let's jump to Article 28, my favorite, yard sales. Jonathan.
Mr. Chairman, I haven't even, do we even have a draft of the yard sale bylaw?
I haven't seen one yet. I know we have a nice policy that we all agreed to.
Okay, so I'll refer back to my notes on no public hearing, no significant consensus on the Board of Selectmen. It would be unwise for us to send this to town meeting without public input and the facts that present to the public as well in the form of a public hearing. So I would move that we remove Article 28 from consideration for the 2015 Fall Town warrant.
Okay, motion by Mr. Ruda.
Second.
Seconded by Mr. Fox. I will third. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous. Greg, Article 28 is gone. Oh. Okay, any other holds? That's it. Okay. Anybody in the audience like to, Greg, I'm sorry, I didn't see you.
Mr. Chairman, as I mentioned earlier, there will be a hearing jointly with the FAA.
Yeah. You have a date
And-
on that yet?
No, I'll find out tomorrow night what the hearing date is
Okay.
going to be. And I just want to reiterate that submission of an article doesn't necessarily imply that it gets on the warrant. And word had gotten out to me that the warrant had already been approved. And since the warrant closed on Friday at 1 o'clock, it had not been approved. And I just wanted people to be aware of the fact approval only takes place after you agree to it.
Agreed.
course.
And I've had to remind.
It's better to be safe than sorry.
Safe than
Mr.
sorry. That's agreed, Mr. Ruda. I've had to remind several people the same. Okay, anybody in the audience like to, Scott, want to come up?
Sorry, I should have brought this up at the beginning, but
Sorry.
I know over the past weekend, with all the rain and everything, while I was away on active duty, there were a lot of posts about Center Road. I know at least one of you was aware of them on that thing called Facebook. The condition of it is pretty nasty. I know as a member, and I'm speaking strictly as one member of the Congregational Church up there, we're currently under a major renovation and having services at Davis Hall. So people park at the church and walk across Center Road. I don't know how it went this weekend with all the rain and wet and mud and everything else, but we probably owe a debt of gratitude to Nichols for the amount of mud that got tracked into Davis Hall. But in any case, if not now, and I wouldn't expect it now, but I would hope that there would be some sort of a public update as to what the status is going to be of that road as snow starts to fly.
Mr. Chairman,
And what's going to happen up there through the winter. There's a lot of students walking across that road. They're at best cognizant of the fact that it's a road when they're crossing it, at best, and with the fact that it's muddy and wet and everything else, we're asking for a major problem up there. What's going to happen with that being torn up through the winter?
Mr. Chairman, I think the town administrator is going to address a little bit tonight here when we get to his section about the updates that you asked for, and I agree with you. So we are going to get to it. Let's dispose of the warrant.
All right, yeah,
sorry.
And then we're certainly going to get to that issue because
No.
we're definitely on it over the
We're
past
on it.
weekend.
Yep, all right. Anybody, any other department heads want to speak on anything that's on the warrant? We can talk. Debbie, come on. Oh, Debbie noticed something else.
Maybe it shouldn't be on here, but what about the funding for the additional students that are tuition and transportation for out-of-district vocational students?
Oh, yeah,
I
it should
thought
be,
there
it should
should be
be,
an article, right, but I didn't see
That should
one.
be into the budget, right?
yeah, it's got to be in the budget amendment, and that's a good catch.
I didn't see it in there, though.
Nope.
Yeah, we
that's-
should
that
have a
needs to
lot of
be-
discussion about that.
That needs to be in Appendix A. Again, we have 4 students at the vocational, out-of-district vocational schools, and we
Great
pay for
catch.
tuition and transportation. We presently have money, and we budgeted for 2, so we need to budget for 2 more students.
So, Mr. Chairman, through the chair, Greg, if we approve the warrant and we close it tonight, does it have any impact on the appendix, or can that be?
The Appendix A is subject to revision, and that's the reason why we have it standing out there separately, is we can make changes to it.
Okay, as well as the budget, so.
And, right, and it's budget, and you don't know what's going to happen. That's why we want to try to keep that open as late as
Right, and
possible.
we've done that as last minute a couple times. Thanks, Debbie. Great catch.
Thanks,
Great catch.
Deb.
That's an important one. Anybody else? Hi, Michael.
Greetings. As you can see, Article 30 is the only petition article on this warrant. This is pursuant, it's a carryover from last spring when we were told to come back for the rest of it. We did do 2 books with the money that was appropriated in the spring, and Aura came up with money for 1, so we got 3 back a couple of weeks ago. I tried to show them to you last meeting, but it wasn't really a good venue up there to have it for that. Anyway, we're back for the rest, and we're hopeful of your support on that. Because it is a petition article, it needs a 2/3 majority, I believe.
2/3, Greg?
No, to vote it at town meeting is only a majority.
Okay.
On a petition?
Well, it's a petition article.
Yes, yep.
Okay, all right.
Just through the chair, is this the balance owed
Yeah.
from the original appropriation?
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
Very good.
2/3 if you want it to come out of the stabilization fund, though.
Oh, okay. Well, that's where we usually go for this stuff. So.
Right.
So, yes, the answer to your
Okay.
question is yes.
Thanks, Mike.
You changing your mind?
Anybody else? Okay, seeing none. All right, board members, what's your pleasure on the warrant?
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion that we're looking, before I make that, let me withdraw that. Just so I'm clear, we're making a motion to close the warrant,
That's correct.
and the wording to include the changes that we made tonight
And
included
deletions.
in that motion.
Correct, including the deletions.
All right, so I'll make a motion, Mr. Chairman, that we close the annual fall 2015 town meeting warrant effective at 7/20 on this date, with the amendments and changes that we made to the articles tonight to be adopted into the closed warrant.
Motion by Mr. Ruda.
Second.
Second by Mr. Fox. Discussion. We've discussed it. Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous. Okay. Fall Town Meeting 2015 warrant is now closed and set. So stay tuned for joint meeting with the FAA so we can go through things in detail and continue to get it ready for town meeting. Okay. Item 8, student representative, Alex.
This coming Friday, the football team will be playing Wachusett at 7 o'clock on the new field. It's been a little bit of a bumpy start, but the other teams are, the soccer teams are actually playing tonight at Gillette Stadium versus Sharon High School. They managed to work this out. They tried to aim for it to happen last soccer season, but it ended up working out more towards with everybody's schedules and the other team making districts last year that they were playing. It worked out more towards the favor for this year, so they are playing actually currently right now. The boys started at 5.
Speak?
Yes, as we
It's like the
speak.
Jets playing the Dolphins in the UK, kind of.
Yeah. The homecoming just got approved to November 7th, so that will be from 6 to 10 p.m. on November 7th on that Saturday. And this coming Thursday, it is a half day, and there's no school on Friday due to Professional Development Day. And there is no school the next Monday for Columbus Day, so that's a nice little break for us.
You guys have it made.
Yes. And there's also a band festival this Saturday at the school, so that's an all-day event if anybody's willing to go up and watch all the schools. There's about 20 bands that usually go to it, so it's a long all-day event.
Nice.
What time does that get over?
What time does it get over? After judging, it's usually like 10.
Should we put the noise
9:30?
bylaw back on?
Oh, no.
People can usually hear the band playing.
Yeah. Right.
They enjoy it.
Good. Nice, Alex. What else? Anything?
SATs were this past Saturday. If you want to hear about the 4.5-hour test that we all had to take, I mean,
Did you write a lot of B? Was it B or C?
I don't even remember. It was too much to remember.
Pick a letter and go.
Yeah. Continue on the 25-minute sections that they kept making us take.
Thanks, Alex. Board member comments. Mr. Fox, anything?
I'm all set.
Jonathan?
All set.
I am all set.
Well, actually, I would like to say,
Sure.
and I know we're getting to it, but I just want to bring to the board's attention that I was working a little bit with Greg over the back and forth with the issue up at Nichols that he's going to get to, and I'll tell you what, you're really on it, and you were on it right away before I even got the first complaint, so I appreciate that. You stayed on it on a Friday night until it was resolved, so
I say that. I got a lot of pictures.
that's
sent
nice
to
to
me.
have people have your back like that.
Yeah, I got to second that. I got a lot of pictures other than that, too, and you beat them all. So, it's good.
It was a messy situation.
It was. So with that nice segue, move into town administrator report.
So, Center Road, as you know, we had a major storm event last Wednesday. There was significant rainfall, and it was brought to my attention through Mr. Guyon that there were a number of issues and problems up there. And there were large ravines that were cut in the road as a result of the rain. In addition to the mud, which is a general inconvenience, there were large ravines that were cut in the road by runoff. And there was a significant amount of rocks and debris and stuff like that that got into catch basins that were being constructed without any type of sedimentation barriers. Typically you see a silt barrier, or you'll see hay bales around these things. They weren't there. And that's standard practice when you have a municipal construction project. And it's a state project, but it's a town road. So ultimately, we watch what's going on. And then a lot of water and debris somehow got onto Dudley Hill Road heading toward the golf course and ended up in that wetland that's at the bottom of the hill. And there's a drain or a basin that's there that drains into some wetlands. So I was shocked when I saw the conditions. I got to say, I've been in this field for a very long period of time, and can't remember the last time I saw something that looked like that. And the contractor wasn't there on Friday, and I was able to contact Mass DOT, who was unaware, Mass Department of Transportation was unaware of any of the conditions that the board and the public has seen up there. They were shocked when we sent them pictures, and they responded and said they would immediately take care of the problem. And as I understand, there was some grading that took place on Friday. I did see that there was a person up there that was working in and around the area, but what I did ask for is the contractor needs to be diligent and vigilant in terms of what's going on. There were a number of failures that took place by the state. They have an engineer that's out there who's on the project who should be making sure that these things get done. Erosion control and sedimentation is typically part of a standard provision in a contract. You look at any contract, they're all in there, and yet it wasn't done. I contacted them again today because we received a complaint about the shoulders of the road being solid mud. And as you know, the Black Tavern is there, and they have a number of events. And they came up and they put some gravel down. I went up and actually saw that it was done. But the state, much to my surprise and shock, was completely unaware that these problems were existing until the phone calls were made. And they promised me that they would take immediate action to bring this project back in line. I was hoping that I could provide you with a project schedule in terms of when the paving is done, but I don't have that today. This only happened on Friday. But it's unusual to see a road ripped up and not paved. Typically, they try to keep the pavement on there as long as possible. So I don't know if the chief or the police chief or highway superintendent have anything to add, but you know, we were shocked with the conditions.
Yes, the only thing I was going to add was I believe going through the issue they're doing now, the last thing they put in is a new gas main. So if you see the pipes on the ground where the old 1805 house was, those pipes there are supposed to be going on the ground. And so I guess one of the things that's kind of holding that up is they got to get that in. That's an outside contractor that's doing that job. I believe there's Newco Construction that's coming in and putting that gas line in. So they're, as soon as those are in, which they were hoping to be this week, they got to put in, there's 2 other catch basins I think they were putting in, and then they were going to put the base coat of pavement down, base coat of asphalt down. So they were shooting for, you know, next week or something like that to at least have a base coat of pavement down. But that was the big thing right now. It's just getting a new gas main in, because they can't put the catch basin in apparently where it is, because the gas main is going on the other side of the road. The existing gas main is on the same side where they're going to put that basin in, so they can't do any of that work until they switch over the gas lines. So that's the only thing I think that's holding that up. So hopefully that gets completed this week, and they can put a base coat of pavement down next week, and that'll eliminate a lot of the problem.
What's up with, speaking of, thank you, Chief. Speaking of these subcontractors in the state, I mean, West Main Street's not done yet. I mean, do you have anybody you can ask for an update on that? Like some of the aprons and stuff?
Yeah, the District 3 highway engineer. I've got the personal cell phones of all of these guys now.
Good. I know you're on top of it.
What I'm trying to do is one thing at a time, but yeah, it kind of shocks me that the state doesn't have a tighter handle on these projects. And if anything calls out for what I call performance contracting, this would be it, so that the project has to be completed by a certain date, and if it's completed beforehand, it would be nice if the contractor maybe received an additional payment for getting it done before time. But there also should be a penalty. There should be some way of penalizing these contractors when they don't perform the work. And I was told that the contractor up on Center Road was a new contractor. He hadn't worked for the state before. Now, to me, that would mean that I would want to do an extra good job.
Yeah.
Because I'd want to be on the list that next time there was a project, the state would look at me in a good light. And so I don't really understand where that disconnect is.
Or paving over water junction boxes.
Yeah.
I agree. Peter?
Was there any cost incurred to the town of Dudley because of that storm? Mm-hmm. Could we get reimbursed for something if we had? Did we have to do any work at all, Danny?
We haven't had to do any work as of yet to speak of. I mean, we cleaned up Dudley Hill Road a little bit because there was a lot of rocks left in the gutter. We sent the backhoe boom up there and the loader to scoop it up last week. But I'm just concerned, like you said, a lot of that debris went into the wetlands down there. I just don't want DEP coming after us a year from now or something like that saying, hey, how did all this stuff get in here? It's the town of Dudley's responsibility now to get it out. I just don't know why they took the asphalt off that whole road. I mean, normally if, when we do it, we put all the underground utilities in first, and then if we're gonna
All the way
grind the
down.
road up, that's the last thing. And you make sure you grind it in one day and pave it the next, keeping an eye on the weather. At least you get a base coat on there. But the asphalt's been off that road for, it's gotta be 3 weeks. And a lot of that stuff, like I say, was washing right into our catch basins. Hopefully it can be rectified by the state in a short period of time.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Danny.
Thanks,
Anything else-
Greg.
Anything else, Greg?
That's it on the Center Road. I didn't know if the gentleman who was up before the board had any further questions.
Got anything else? Yeah,
When we can expect it to be closed up?
yeah, okay.
I mean, I can only add that the state, when I contacted their construction office in Worcester, they weren't even aware of the fact that the pavement had been taken out. They weren't even aware of the fact the pavement had been taken out.
Our state rep will be up in that neighborhood Saturday afternoon for another event, for an Eagle event.
Oh, he was involved on Friday, as was the senator.
He was tagged for Saturday afternoon, so he'll be up there, so I'll be sure to fill his ear at least as well, to get some attention to that. That's a mess.
Just one more thing too. I mean, they'll put a base coat of asphalt on that road, but they won't put the finish coat on until next year. Because with all that excavation in that roadway, you're gonna have to let those trenches settle through the winter, and then the top coat will go on next year, I would think, but it certainly won't be this year. But there should be a base coat on that.
Dan? Mr. Chairman, I'm sorry.
Go ahead, Rick.
Dan, how would they normally handle the structures? Would those be raised, and those cause a problem with snow removal if they're left over the
Well,
winter
those
time?
structures
Because those things are,
yeah, they're gonna have to match the asphalt roadway flush with the existing catch
It's
basins.
gonna be a
and-
thick base coat, isn't it?
manholes now, and adjust them next year. They can't leave them sticking up, that's for sure.
Mike?
Mr. Chairman, Saturday, it was a nightmare trying to get across that road. To get into the Grange or the tavern, crossing that road was just nuts. Mud, soup.
Yeah, I got a lot of complaints. There's the apple.
The horse is gone. We're closing the barn door now with this question, but we've known about this project for about 4 years anyway. Well, why in the name of God did they start doing it at the end of the year when
Great question, Mike.
Well, that's one of, Mr. Chairman,
You
that's
know,
one of the
it-
frustrating things about a grant.
You take
is
grant money, that's what you
You
get.
take it, you get your time, and if you say it's not a good time, they say, okay, let us know on February 31st or
they
23rd
twiddle
when
their
it's going to
thumbs
be
for
good for
4
you.
or 5 years, and then they fire away
it's-
when the
it's take it or
season
leave
is just
it.
about over.
It's take it or leave
Take
it.
it or leave it.
We got a new guy, and maybe that tells us what they think about Dudley. I don't know.
No, I just, what they think about the schedule, I don't think it's personal.
Yeah, I don't think it's Dudley, yeah. Thanks, Mike. Greg, anything else?
the only thing I have on my report is a date where the board can meet to sign the town meeting warrant. So we have the board, I recommend the board have a meeting next week solely for the purposes of approving the warrant. And the reason why is the 2-week deadline for posting is the date of your next meeting, and you can't sign and post the same evening because locations aren't available.
You want a date next Monday?
Yeah,
Columbus Day,
no, after that.
Tuesday.
Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday.
Fine, let me know.
Let's just do Tuesday, or so just a quick post
Are you going away?
the week after.
Tuesday?
Do we need to have a formal meeting to sign it?
Oh, yeah,
We just approved it.
doesn't matter. If you're taking an official action, you have to have a posted meeting, you have to have minutes.
Let's do it the right way then.
Don't say anything.
Sign it tonight.
Yeah, and 14 days, no, 14 days prior to the 2nd, not the 19th.
It wouldn't be ready for the FAA meeting tomorrow, would it? Do we need 3 signatures?
No, I want to send it to council.
Okay,
So I think sometime next week is good.
okay.
Michelle, just send an email to everybody and get that.
Sorry.
It would and have the agenda just be
As long as we have
Board of
the three of
Selectmen
us.
sign town warrant, nothing nothing else, so we don't have any.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anything less? That's it, thank you.
Okay, thanks, Greg. All right, Danny, anything else? Chief? Chief? That's it. Motion to adjourn?
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion, we adjourn.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Fox, seconded by Mr. Ruda. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Unanimous. Thank you, everybody. Good night.